Cut that. Hey everybody, it's MetroMeta. I hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody's doing well. Today we're talking about one of my favorite games. Persona 5 Royale. Now I bought the special edition of this and the digital version of this because Atlas owns my life. Look at this. Look at this steel book. It is slick. Ooh. So I finished Persona 5 Royale last night, and I have some thoughts and opinions. We're gonna start out without spoilers, and then we're gonna get into spoilers about P5R. So sit back, relax, and remember to rise above. Alright y'all, let's start with the highlights. Let's just start out non-spoiler right now. I'm gonna hit something for you guys for the spoiler part right off the bat. How do I feel about Persona Royale? Should you buy it? Oh, if you have not played Persona, which you should have, because everybody should have watched my video about Persona, then no. Maybe you shouldn't buy it. Depends on how much you liked Persona. It depends on how much you liked Persona. Like if you loved Persona and you finished it, which a lot of you might not have done, definitely go and cop some Persona 5 Royale, because it's so amazing. Just they added so many quality of life changes, like with just the stats alone. In the first Persona, you're always dangling trying to get social stats and confidants and all that stuff, and you really don't have time to do all the leisurely stuff like fishing and batting. Like you don't have time for all that. But with Persona 5 Royale, they made so many changes to it. They added on so many other ways of getting stats. Halfway through the game, I was basically perfect already, and there were just days where I didn't have anything to do. Like my confidants were done, my stats is maxed out, and I'm just walking around the game like, oh, I have nothing to do now. So I definitely say those are all pluses. If this is your first Persona game, definitely go in on Persona Royale. If you are a veteran fan, definitely go in Persona Royale. They added a lot to the end of it, which we'll get into more in the spoilers. As far as stuff they added a lot of story stuff to it, and honestly, like, we'll talk about that more later, but like they added a lot more story stuff, and they really they didn't just like add their new story and then that's it. They really tried to like cut it into the story and give certain characters more stuff. Like I know Noir in the first Persona, she felt like a half character to me. Like I really didn't even know her, because she comes in at the end and she has like, even her ability is like, it's like a 4-day ability, and you're giving it to me with there's like what 2, 3 maybe, where there's like 2 palaces left. Like she definitely should have been more in the, I would just say I would have liked to have Noir. Noir probably should have came before Ryuji if we're being hunted, because Ryuji doesn't have that many like in-game like ability. I'm just saying, like, at least put more palaces. Well, not more. This game is long. It's still long. It didn't take me as long as it did the first time, just because I knew everything. But it is still extremely long. I think I capped out at almost 100 hours. I think I'm shy maybe a couple minutes of 100 hours for this game. So it's still long, still has all the palaces. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's an exhausting experience. Playing Persona, it's amazing. it's so exhausting. That's part of the reason why I don't have Persona 4 Golden yet. Is it's so long, and one of the criticisms I have about this is it's not a game that you play by playing the game. It's a game that you play with sort of like a filter. Like the whole time I'm playing Persona, my laptop's on because I need to look up what are the answers to all the questions. Well, they have that built into the game, which is nice. But what is the answer to all the confidant stories? What are the dates and times for everything? So you're sort of like planning everything out at the same time as you're supposed to be playing the game, and it takes away from the experience when I'm constantly thinking about, I need to make sure I get the perfect ending, so I need to do this, and this, as opposed to me just sitting down and be like, okay, I'm gonna play the game, and as long as I can beat everything and get to the end, I made it. I get the good ending. Which I know a lot of people like the multiple endings, they're like replayability, but for me, I'm just like, I want to see the game, I want to see most of the game possible, and I don't usually go back and replay a lot of games. So for me, I want to get the best possible ending, and I'm looking up everything, and it's so long, and it's so just tedious to have like, oh, I need to have a computer on while I'm playing my game, because if I don't, I'll probably get a bad ending because I said something dumb. But just as far as the themes, like I feel like a lot of people misconstrue the themes of this game. Like for me, the themes for Persona is rebel under all consequences. Like that's on the run up, that's what they're doing. Like no matter what, rebel. Alright? You never want to be under the control of someone else. And it's just, I really enjoyed how they explored this in Persona Royale, because now you're getting things like they're actually going to therapy. You're actually seeing the characters as they're going through these sort of events with the new characters and stuff. If you want to know like what they added a new character, Kasumi. They added a few more scenes to Akechi, and they added Dr. Maruki, who is their counselor. So that's all the new stuff there, if you're wondering. So I really enjoyed all of that, and just being in the story again. Because just being in that world and being with those characters, like, you really do feel like, oh, I'm hanging out with the Buzz. I'm hanging out with my best friends right now. This is amazing. And it just feels nice to be back just in the world of Persona. Yeah. But we're about to do spoilers. So I'm putting up spoiler warning right now. Everything after this, mad spoilers. If you're still here, that means you're okay with some spoilers. So let's get into the weeds about this game. Alright, so if you play Persona Royale, you know, in order to get the perfectly good new ending, you have to defeat Dr. Maruki. So what you gotta do, what I had to do, I looked it up to get the absolute perfect. You gotta max out Kasumi at 5, max out Akechi, and max out Dr. Maruki. And if you do that, you get put on this line to do it. I don't know what happens if you don't max out Kasumi or Akechi. I assume it's very hard, because right off the bat, the thing that I noticed was, with this game, they added a lot of things to make quality of life. Like they added abilities to Personas, which was nice. And each of the palaces had their given items, which are like super OP items. They take a lot of SP. But for me, the way I looked at it, I was like, nothing's better than the SP patch. Like for me, even in base Persona, I was like, you need the SP patch, because one, it lets you get through the palaces in one day, which is amazing. And two, it's more SP. There's like nothing better than having more SP. Even these abilities, they take up so much more, and you do get more SP items in this game. I could tell, like even the very, very first palace, Kamoshida, I noticed I was still able to do it in one day, and I don't even think I had SP items, but I was still able to make it. But it's just there's nothing better than it. That to me is just the code of the thing. Is I'm not taking anything other than that. I definitely think in future maybe they add more ways to get SP if you want me to use those items. Other than that, I wanted to talk, like, I definitely felt more, maybe I just knew the game more, but I felt like I was getting more powerful. Like, towards the end, my characters were more powerful, they had better move sets. I found this really cool chain with Kazumi, where I would freeze. I took out 2 mini bosses like this. I would just use an ice attack before they immediately be frozen, and then she would double down and I would get a critical, and then I could just Phantom Thief if they didn't have weaknesses. There were certainly a lot of bosses where I would just drone if they showed up because they had so much health, they didn't have any weaknesses. I was like, this is about to be 30 minutes of this. I'm so upset. The other things, just getting in just on gameplay, what else? The changes they made were minor, like minor changes to the palaces. Those were basically fine. There was minor changes, basically adding just the skull head things. Akechi, the 2 new characters are pretty cool. Like Akechi, having him back is nice for some people. I don't really like Akechi. Although Akechi was wildin' in this Akechi was wildin'. My man straight up lost it and went straight Joker up in this place. He was so funny. He's just straight out. He can no longer hold the amount of disdain and hatred he has for every living person. It is the funniest thing. If you ever get the chance, just watch it. It's so amazing. Sumire, because spoiler talk, her name's not Kazumi, it's Sumire. I liked her. I definitely, for me, 3 things I had with Sumire. 1, you can't romance her till the 3rd season, which is all the way at the end of the game, which is kind of upsetting to not get a girl that early. Like that, I get why they put it that way, but that's that's a long time it's a lot of gameplay that you gotta wait before you can get a girl. But she definitely, honestly, looking at the story as it's laid out, I definitely feel like she would be the canonical person that the main character would actually go after. Just looking back at the game, that's really what I'm seeing. The problem they had with this game was it's a linear story, and so they're trying to cut another story into this story, and it's very for Dr. Maruki, and so they took a lot of tame things with it. Like to start out, Dr. Maruki, you're just counseling with him, and you do get the up and up that he's into science and he's just a normal confidant. But his big plan at the end is he wants to make the whole world. He basically, it has a very interesting message for 2020, and that he's like, look, if everybody just gives up, I'm gonna make a world where everyone is happy. And it's very hard to, honestly, I found it hard to fight because he has points. He's like the nicest guy possible. He's just so nice, and like you trust him. You're like, he definitely, if I had to choose a person, he basically wants to be he wants to do what Madara wants to do, which is put everybody in an infinite Tsukiyomi where everything is perfect. And when you're experiencing Maruki's world, you're just like, this ain't half bad. I mean, everyone I love is alive, everyone is happy, but except for Akechi, but he's never happy. And so it's just, for me, I found that to be a very interesting like proposal, because again, Persona, Royale, Rebel, under all circumstance. But I'm just sitting here like, this ain't that bad. Like, it's really not that bad. I might as well stay here. That was my thing about that. But just seeing how the ending goes, I do kind of get upset that the main character doesn't drive off with the Phantom Thieves like he does in the end. And I haven't played the original vanilla Persona in a while, but from my memory, I don't remember all of them. Just when you get to the end of Dr. Maruki, all of them are talking about what they're doing in the future. and how that Maruki's event changed how they're seeing their future. You have Makoto's like, oh, me and Haru are gonna move into our own houses. Haru's like, oh, I'm going to college and I'm gonna be working. Even Ryuji's like, oh yeah, I'm moving to go and get physical therapy. Futaba's like, I'm going to school soon. Lady Ann's just straight up leaving the whole country, and you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, the Phantom Thieves are done. Like, for me, because again, it's like, these are my friends, these are my buddies, and you're like, oh, the Phantom Thieves are done. Like, they're literally all going across the world, splitting up. This 1 year is over. It was like the ending of, like, Friends or Community. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this is mad emotional. Like, yeah, they're moving ahead, but, like, nobody's here except for Yusuke? Why did he get left behind? I know people think he's weird, but it's kind of upsetting. Again, to me, it's like, oh, everybody's leaving and Yusuke is alone. Like, that's very upsetting. And just so this was, honestly, this is the first time I romanced only one girl, because in my first playthrough I accidentally romanced, I think it was like Takamaki, the doctor, and then I also romanced Makoto because I was going to, and then I just went full on as many people as I could, and I got on in no, I didn't get on. I got on my second playthrough, but like I got to see the romance with Makoto, which is honestly so beautiful. It's so, if you get to White Day, it's amazing. Don't be in these streets, people. Stay loyal. It pays off amazingly. I guarantee it. But yeah, I really loved Persona Royale. It was a lot to finish, which is making me hesitant to do Persona Golden, especially because I know Persona Golden doesn't have as many quality of life advances as Persona Royale, like the EXP sharing and the questions not having a button that just tells you that. So I'm very nervous about that. But the other thing I also enjoyed was they added this sort of area that definitely seems like it was meant to have like a multiplayer or something, called the Phantom Den. It's like your own palace. It's basically like a gallery where you can go and watch the game, which I think is a great way of getting people to be able to watch the game and experience the story without having to play through it, because it's a lot. Like the Kumura boss alone, I was ready to throw it in. Like, it was so much. And also you could purchase Phantom Thief. You could purchase some of the personas. I wish they would have had all of them. They only had like their first persona. You didn't get to see the brand new personas which they added, which are really cool and amazing. Honestly, the ones I got, I didn't like Akechi's because I don't like Akechi's first persona. I do like Lady Ann's. Makoto's is amazing. Sumire's is weird because it's like all white. It's like the wedding. I get why, I just don't get it. For me, when I think about Persona, I think about it in connection to, of course, Pokemon is the first connection. And I'd love a Persona-esque Pokemon game. The Personas in Persona are a lot different than Pokemon because they're more based on mythology and they don't have to deal as much with the environment, which I think is another great distinction when you think about monster collecting games. Like, yeah, in Persona you're collecting these things, but they're not like creatures. They're not like out there in the world connected to nature itself, which I think does drive a huge difference just in the amount of monsters. Like, Persona has so many more humanoid and more mature monsters that like wouldn't make sense in Pokemon. Like, people are already upset with Pokemon like Gardevoir and Lopunny. They're not gonna like a Persona like Sabael going into the game. And I think that's also something that I find that's strange about Digimon, is that it has a more Persona-esque roster where there are more human-like Digimon, and I'm just sitting here like, this is kind of rude. But they also try to go the Pokemon route where the Digimon also have like connections to like nature and like lived in a world, and it's just like, for me, it's a shock and a difference because I'm not in the Digimon world. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, why is this program have a backstory that talks about nature? You live on a computer program. It doesn't make any sense. As far as like the Thieves Den, I definitely I liked it. I definitely would have liked to see more in it. Like, add more personas. They had a tycoon game or like more mini games in there. Just more Phantom Thieves stuff in there. Like, they had the Phantom Thieves come back and talk in. I would have definitely liked more of the Confidants in there. And honestly, it seems like it was built for like some sort of multiplayer-esque area. There's like multiple like floors. I would have liked to have a bit more multiplayer in there, or even just like a multiplayer dungeon-esque area if you're going to have this. Not to say I want multiplayer in Persona, because I really don't. It has minimal. I like Japan has this thing of doing minimal like multiplayer where it's like, oh, people online will help you do this one thing, and it's basically nothing. Like, it's a nothing, so much so that it could basically be filled in by the computer. No one would notice. But I definitely like that more than just outright outfitting single player games with it. The thing that obviously comes to mind is the questions. Like, with the questions in Persona Royale, if you're connected online, you just hit the D-pad and you can see what everybody else voted for and put down, and it's like, oh, there's the answer, which is a really nice way of doing it, because nobody knows the answer to those questions. They're random questions. I don't know what the answer to this is. I don't know what culture you're going for, but it's not mine, and I can't guess it. Overall, best girl still Makoto. Sumire is really running up on her. I really like her. I really like Sumire's design, just like, because again, at the beginning, people were having problems with like her leotard, which it makes sense, especially when you learn more about Sumire and how much gymnastics is about her. Like, it's not like Ryuji in Running Unless he used to run. It's like Sumire is a gymnast. Like, that's her whole thing, and it makes sense. And just the way they animate her and she moves and her attacks, it's super amazing. Only thing I don't like is her jacket, which, like, it gives her this weird back when she's facing back from you. She has like this weird back, and I'm just like, it just looks like a line. I'm like, no, that's not as good. I really don't use this cosmetic skins just because I like the original design so much. Best boy still probably like Ryuji, if we're being hunted. He's just so nice. I do like Ryuji. People, they are so mean to him in this game. They're constantly calling him dumb. And I'm like, my man is not dumb. He's the charge leader. Overall, I still have to say my favorite thing about Persona is still gotta be the confidant system. Just because confidants are just like, it really makes more sense to me. Like, in a lot of games, it's like, it's a main character. It's just them out there in the world. Or it's like 4 people. It's just like, us 4 people save the world. I like how in Persona it's like, no, it wasn't just him. It was him, his friends, and everybody else who helped do things. It was the teacher who let him skip out in class so he could help save the world. It was the person who was giving him the weapons he needed. Like, all those people are involved in this small social reform, and I really like that event. As far as like the ending goes, again, I was in my feelings with this. My plans for the future of like what I want more from Persona moving forward in this franchise. I've been studying a little bit more on the SMT franchise that Persona came off of, because it's dead right now. I definitely would want more SMT on more platforms, just modern platforms. Put them on, they have some on Nintendo DS, and I downloaded one, I haven't played it. They have some on, like PS3 and stuff. I just put those games on modern platforms. I feel like Atlas has so many more fans now. They would make so much more money if they just had a studio that they don't even have to remaster everything. They could just take old games, put them in HD, add a couple of quality of lives, and just put them on modern platforms. And they would make so much more money on that. Moving forward with Persona, I want Persona Strikers on Switch, of course. I definitely would like to see a port of Persona Royale to the Switch. I don't know if I'd buy that just because I bought this game 3 times actually, because my special edition was stuck at GameStop because of the pandemic. And so I bought the original version, and then I bought a digital version because I just really didn't want to wait. And then I picked up my special edition. So I bought this game 3 times. So I definitely, even if they put it on Switch, maybe if it's on sale, but I definitely wouldn't buy it on Switch. Persona 4 Golden, it's on PC. I could play it on my PC. I'd probably rather wait till like a PS4 port or something. I definitely want Persona 4 Golden eventually. I can't do it now because Persona is just exhausting to play. Maybe later on in the year I might pick it up and download it and play through Persona 4. We'll see how I'm feeling in like July after Ghost of Tsushima. But I definitely want Persona 4 coming to more platforms. Persona 3 to me is gonna be interesting because for those of you that don't know, it's split between Persona 3 Portable, and I also already bought Persona 4. I got it on the Vita. I never played it on the Vita. But Persona 3 is split between Portable and FS in the original, but nobody plays that FS. And so there's different changes in between the two. And I definitely feel like Persona 3 is going to be more of an undertaking, just because I feel like Atlus has to go in and sort of fuse like the good parts of each one and see what they want to take in and what they want to take out, or just put up both versions. That definitely is going to be more of a conversation because of the changes between the two parts. The first 2 Personas, I definitely want them. I think Innocent Sin Part 2 or whatever has never even come out on the West. So those I definitely feel like are going to need a lot more. I think those could just use remakes. Just like don't change anything, but let's get some new assets in there. Some new assets in there and just quality of life, and just put those on modern consoles. As far as like the next Persona game, Persona 6, I would want a Persona 6. I definitely want that to be made for the ground up for the next gen. Let's not do what we did with Persona Royale, where they had this. Because this new, I definitely, like with the new palaces, were amazing. That new palace is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But Persona has so many like loading times. And again, it's Persona, so it's amazing. But I definitely think that with the next gen consoles, Atlus could really make something amazing, just because the art style of Persona is so interesting. And I'm also interested to see what they do, not just with loading times and all of that stuff, but just with like audio. Just their music's already amazing. What they're gonna do with audio for Persona 6 moving forward, I definitely would want them to take this same type of, I know there's some conversation, people want a more SMT story, but I really like this, so I'd really like them to do more of a Persona S story. I would definitely like for them to get out of Japan. I know it's Atlus, it's a Japan country, but I definitely would want them to get out of Japan at least a little more. I know dipping into America is a bit just because of the culture, but having more experiences. And I definitely want more events outside of them being like in the dungeon. Like with Persona 5, you have like them going to like Disneyland, which is like a scene where they're happy for 2 seconds, then Akuma is dead, and then you have like them going overseas and which really nothing happens. So I definitely would want those events to be longer and with more things, like more like the Hawaii one, but maybe longer and different. I definitely also want more companies to take a look at Persona's formula and adapt it, like we saw with Fire Emblem when they did it in the calendar system. It's amazing. I would definitely like to see like a Western version of Persona Royale, like a Rockstar developed Persona Royale, adding a Rockstar Persona game. If they took Bullies and made that, I think would be amazing. But for me, those are my thoughts on Persona Royale. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tangent talk review, and remember to rise above.